Hello, and welcome to the Hopecast with Rachael Flick. Rachael is a speaker, counselor, and an overcomer. As Rachael is walking through her own journey of grief, she's challenging others to persevere and overcome their own circumstances. We pray that you will be encouraged by this podcast. Here now is your host, Rachael Flick.
Hey everybody, welcome back to this week's episode of the Hopecast with Rachael Flick. Today I'm bringing you part 2 of my interview with Jess Ronne. She's an author, speaker, podcast host, documentary producer at caregiverdoc.com, and caregiver advocate. She is founder and executive director of the Lucas Project, a nonprofit dedicated to providing recognition and respite for special needs families. She and her husband Ryan live in Michigan with their 8 children, including their son Lucas, who has profound special needs. Her story of beauty from ashes has been shared on the Today Show, Daily Mail, and Huffington Post, and is detailed in her memoir, Sunlight Burning at Midnight. To follow the ongoing saga, she can be found at jessplusthemess.com or purchase her latest book, Blended with Grit and Grace. Jess, welcome back to the Hopecast.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. We were having such a great conversation. It was hard to pause, but today I'm looking forward to picking up with you. You were talking about your caregiver documentary that's coming out called Unseen. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about Lucas and what it looks like with your family with a child with profound special needs. I heard you on a past interview say that it's a known quantity in your family that there is a limited amount of resources and that there is a percentage that is known to need to go to Lucas, and that you kind of try to rotate what is available around to the other family members, all while recognizing that a majority is going to him. Tell us about life like that. What is that for you guys?
It's always a really fine line. Lucas does require a lot. He'll require total care for the rest of his life. He needs assistance in every aspect of his life. And I'll often say to my kids, it's just your story. And you can choose to wallow in the unfairness of what your life, what you perceive your life to be, or you can rise up and you can make something good out of it. And I really see in my kids a resilience and an empathy towards people with disabilities and towards people who are different. And at the end of the day, I think as a mom, my kids are really focused on the true things that make us human and that make us kind human beings. And it is their story. They're one of 8. And they have a biological parent that died, and they have a brother with profound special needs. And it's their choice what they're going to do with their story and with their circumstances. And all of that being said, we're still always trying to remedy the situation that there are 2 parents and there are 8 kids, and one of these children does require a lot. That was part of the reason we moved back to Michigan. Here, Luke has year-round school till he's 26 years old, and there are a lot more respite opportunities here. And we've been able to take advantage of that. And now our summers aren't, holed up in our house dealing with Luke's boredom and Luke's
no free hours of the day.
Right. We're not doing that anymore. We're going to the beach with the other kids, and we're going to the park with the other kids, and we're having fun. And because Luke has school, Luke has his routine, which with level 3 autism, they live or die by these routines. At least Luke does. And so keeping that routine in place. And then we found a wonderful respite provider as well that the state helps pay for. She takes Luke every Tuesday after school until 8 o'clock. And then she takes him one weekend a month and keeps him overnight. And we always try to do something fun with the other typical kids that maybe Luke couldn't enjoy, like going roller skating or sledding or
That's
something
huge.
like that, because they need it. We recognize that. But I would say in our family, it's not so much about individual time. It's about family time. And we gather around the table every night and eat dinner together. We gather at 7:30 every night. We do devotions together. We really limit participation in outside activities. Each kid can pick one for the year because, Luke requires so much of this of you. But then I look at other families too, and I think, well, you spend your whole life in the car, whipping your kids around. So it's really
That's
no
right.
different. and we're just not willing to do that. So it's really focused on family, and our family, and and then at night tucking them in, praying with them, telling them we love them, and we always have the special things too on their birthdays. They get one-on-one time with us, but it's not common to have one-on-one time in
It's
our
not
family.
common to have 8 kids or a
No,
blended family or 2
it's
widow
not.
families or profound special needs. Like, you have, like, 5 or 6 ingredients that add challenge
Yeah, and we like to make sure
altogether.
other people can also fill in those gaps with our kids. We have some good grandparents who are able to do one-on-one, and I have a speaking engagement next week. I'm taking my one daughter with me so that we can enjoy one-on-one time together, and
That's
just
smart.
trying to capitalize on those moments when we can have that one-on-one time together.
That's really smart. And I think, like you said, in America, we have what, 2.3 children or whatever the average American family is, right? And so we have this expectation that our worlds do revolve around all of their needs and all of their activities. And you guys have a different culture in your home, and it's one that's focused on the family and caring for the members of the family and generosity and sacrifice. And I just in watching your kiddos on your posts on social media, I especially love the ones where you post with Josh's Cool, who's Lucas's favorite. He has a favorite. And
And I
just,
don't think he wouldn't feel gypped like in life. He loves his brother Luke, and they have
mm,
such a beautiful bond. And I don't think he would say that he feels shortchanged or anything. He would never give up Luke to have more one-on-one time with mom or dad.
mm.
He'd rather cut off his arm than give up his brother Luke. So it's
They're
just their
so sweet.
story.
Yeah. Yeah. And just, I see tenderness and I see, wisdom beyond their years in their eyes and their relationships with each other. That's what I pray for my kiddos, that they would have an advanced empathy and advanced emotional intelligence, that they would be willing to lean into hard places with people that kids their age wouldn't even begin to know how to do. And I see that same set of qualities in your children, in just the way that they are already learning to lay down their life, right? Which is the big picture, that this story is not about us, it's about Jesus. And that we are allowing our lives to be a living sacrifice. And that's really painful. And it's very unpopular,
Mhm.
to say that in a culture that's all about happiness and the me, it's all about me and what do I want? And if I don't like it, I can leave. And, death, suffering, special needs, all those things require us to sacrifice ourselves as the lead character of the story. And that is not popular, but it is so beautiful, and the positive consequences into eternity. And even as you are turning your story into a testimony, I love Nick Vujicic. He has Life Without Limbs. He was born without arms and legs, from Australia. And he says, if God doesn't give you your miracle, he will make you the miracle. And that's what I see in your family, in your story with Lucas, is that the Lord is making you the miracle and a light on a hill for people to look to for hope.
Well, thank you. I feel that. I feel like I was created to shine a light on this caregiver epidemic and to use our life even as a model for how we can do better. And you're so right too. I mean, as believers, it's our job to become more Christ-like by laying down our life for those who need our help, and that includes their brother. Um, and they would all say it's an honor, and it does make them wise beyond their years too. I see them, like you were saying with your kids, lean into other people and their suffering and their pain and try to um, see people where they are as well. And that's a really beautiful thing to see in your children.
So let me come back with a little bit of counter pressure to what I just said, because I know that caregivers, which is why you did this documentary, to bring light to the situation, not only are they giving, through suffering, but they're giving till their fingers bleed. And they need to be seen for the support and the resources and everything that you're advocating for. Give us a little perspective of what a family or a mom or a caregiver with a child with profound special needs, what is their life like, and how can we be more empathetic? And how can we come alongside of them and kind of get past that intimidated, scary part of, I don't know how to care for a child with special needs like yours?
Well, I'll start with the first part. What is their life like? It's absolutely exhausting. Luke's a good sleeper, but the majority of special needs families have children who don't sleep. So these caregivers are running on a few hours of sleep a night typically, because with a child with level 3 autism, there are usually elopement concerns, aggression concerns, meltdowns, all kinds of things that you just literally need to be watching that child 24/7. I can't tell you how many caregivers I've interviewed on my podcast who sleep with their grown children because they have to have eyes on them all the time, or there is fear of elopement.
And what's elopement?
When they just leave, when
Okay,
you hear
like leave the
those
house, like
stories,
run out.
yeah, when you hear those stories
Okay.
on the news where a child escaped and they're found walking down the highway, they just have no comprehension of safety or danger
Okay.
or concern for their own well-being. But then to top that off, with Luke, he needs assistance in every aspect of life. And right now it's spring break and he doesn't understand why his schedule was disrupted. He's nonverbal and, well, primarily nonverbal. And he wakes up every day, go to school, go to school, go to school, go to school, like over and over and over. And it's explaining to him, sorry, Luke, there's no school, it's spring break. And then his anxiety is sky high. So he's looping throughout the house all day. And Luke has limited vision and low muscle tone. So he can't safely loop throughout the house. He could grab the stove, he could grab food. And when Luke even grabs food, he doesn't take a bite like a typical person. He tries to, for instance, we once had a chocolate cake on the counter and we didn't see Luke coming up, and he came up behind us and tried to put the whole chocolate cake in his mouth at one time because he has no sense of like, just eat a bite.
Object permanence or space or depth of field or just all of the things. This is how you eat a piece of cake.
No comprehension of that. So you're just on all the time, especially with breaks. It's exhausting. I'm looking at myself in this camera going, oh my gosh, you need some sleep. Like I look exhausted.
She's beautiful, guys. For those of you who can't see her, she's beautiful.
I look huge bags, but you live in this constant state of fight or flight because it's almost easier to use that fight or flight adrenaline than to even try to pick up a book and try to relax. And then he screams, or he has a dirty diaper, or he is looping and dragging. And so it's like, just stay in this fight or flight mode, because then at least you can use this adrenaline.
Which runs your adrenals so hard and creates chronic fatigue and autoimmune disorders and all kinds of things for caregivers.
And I know all this, and I do like 90% of things correctly, but I still am absolutely exhausted day in and day out. And I know it's the stress of just there's no downtime with a child like that. And this is a common story for families. And so I think even, like you said, like the scary kid, I don't know that you use the word. I use that word often. I realize Luke can appear scary.
Intimidating. It's intimidating because you don't know how to interact or what will they do.
And what does he need? Could he hurt me? I get that. And if you're uncomfortable dealing with like that child in the family, we totally understand that, but step in somehow. I mean, it can be as simple as dropping off a meal. I've had somebody volunteer to come over and give all my kids haircuts in the comfort of our home before school started. I've had somebody offer to take all my kids out to go shoe shopping before school starts, because she just knew how difficult that could be with Luke and all the kids at the mall. So I think it's just really evaluating, what are my gifts? And I often will say, if there are any masseuses out there that want to use your gift and come to my home, like
bring your table.
I am there for that. So just like really consider, what gift can I offer this family? And if you can offer respite, that's huge, to let mom and dad, go on a date, or let the single mom take a nap for a couple of hours, but it doesn't have to be respite. And then I would also say, with families with kids with profound disabilities, we want our other typical children to be able to participate in activities, but that's really difficult for families like ours. So even if you can offer to pick up or bring home our other kids, that's a huge help. So at least they can
That's
get
good to
out
know.
and participate in things. And we're happy
And
to
if I
stay
said,
home.
hey, we're going to go to the Sky Sox, that's a local team here. Could we bring your kids? Like,
Yes,
that would be a great invite.
that would be awesome, because we don't want our other kids to always have to miss out because of their brother or their sister who is difficult to go out in public with. And sometimes Luke gets in a mood and he absolutely does not want to go. He will sit smack down in the driveway. And we've had to literally pick him up before to bring him to the doctor because he has it in his head, I don't want to go. And it's like, but you don't know what's best for you and you have to go to the doctor. And so then I have to call my husband. He comes home. We both pick him up, put him in the car, and bring him to the doctor. So to expend that kind
So
of
much
energy
energy.
to force him to go out when he doesn't want to go out, but yet we want our other kids to be able to take advantage of those fun opportunities with their friends.
That's really good. That's helpful to hear. And it wouldn't be seen as like, well, I'm inviting, the typical kids, but I'm not inviting the child with special needs. That wouldn't be offensive. That would be supportive of the kids and then just taking care of the one and not taking care of everybody.
It wouldn't offend me. I can't speak to everybody's situation, but
Okay.
I think it could even be, I'm willing to take Luke or Johnny, unless you think they would be more comfortable at home or something like that. But it wouldn't offend me at all. And I've had a lot of people offer to help with my typical kids, and not with Luke. And I understand why. Like, that doesn't offend me.
So I have a couple friends who have children with profound special needs, and I've said to them a couple times, and I realize now why this was not the best offer, but I was doing the best that I knew at the time. I would love to give you time away or a date night. Would there ever be a time? And this was when they were pretty young. And so there was baby plus special needs, there's a variety of things there. Could you ever take a day where like the five of us who are willing to give you respite and you could just tell us like, these are the basic needs. These are the unique needs. These are, worst case scenarios, so that I felt safe that you could go and I was a competent, respite person for you. But for them, they were already so tired and so overwhelmed that the idea of pulling together, taking a couple hours to teach their friends how to help care for their child was just too much. They couldn't do it. So do you have any tips for people who would have the internal fortitude to be respite givers, but just don't know where to start?
I think just come over and hang out with the family a couple times so that you
Okay.
can get comfortable and you can see how the family operates and how the child with needs, what their needs are and how to perform whatever they need. And I've had friends do that and just come over and have coffee with me. And Luke's home, and it can get kind of intense because he can be looping and stimming and screaming if he's not getting what he wants. But then they see him in his natural environment. They see how I react, where some things do require a reaction, but Luke will often sit in his room and just scream, like, because he'll get bored. So he'll, and then 2 seconds later, he's busy on his iPad again. And then he'll get bored and he's busy on his iPad. And so watching me not react to that, whereas somebody else might be like, oh my goodness, is something wrong?
Is he
And I'm like,
okay?
nothing's wrong. He just does this sometimes, or his stimming can get sort of like manic at times, but it's fine. Just let him stim, let him get it out of his system, and then he'll be fine. We don't have to do anything about it. I know with our situation, the biggest hindrance, I would say, is having a 17-year-old in diapers. Turns almost everybody in the whole world off. Nobody wants to touch that. Special needs camps, after school programs, and part of me is like, is that really the worst thing in the world? I mean, Jesus would have changed Luke's diaper. And if we're Christ
Yeah, I would.
followers,
Yeah.
Jesus washed
Yeah.
people's feet.
Right.
Is that really the worst thing in the world, to have to change somebody's diaper who who can't care for himself in any way, shape, or form? Like,
Does he fight the diaper change or does
no,
he
not at
allow it?
all.
He
He
allows it.
he
Okay.
is the easiest person in the world to change. He's so compliant,
Mm-hmm.
complacent when it comes to that. It's not an
Yeah.
issue at all. And I just think that so often, like, even special needs ministries and churches, like, refuse to touch that aspect, or
Mm,
special needs, we have an after school program here in town. For special needs kids, they refuse to touch that. And those are usually the families that need help the most, who have these
absolutely.
total care children. And there are very few options for those families.
Yeah. Thank you for saying that. And I appreciate you bringing that to the forefront. I'm my dad's guardian. He's in a nursing home and he has advanced Alzheimer's at 65. And so he wears briefs and needs changes. And for me, that was super intimidating, like going to the care home and being at that time and being like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Like, this is an adult. And so to see his caregivers do that several times and then be like, okay, this isn't the end of the world. This is not that scary. I might need help. Like I might need another adult to help me, but it's doable, and, gloves and some wipes and we're on our way. Right. But
Right.
it was really intimidating up front,
Yeah.
and just, is it going to be everywhere? Is it, and then just kind of breaching that unspoken barrier of genitalia with a grown person as opposed to a child, right? Where we have kind of a natural, like, no fly zone,
Yep.
that's usually healthy, but not in this case. And so I really appreciate you bringing that to the surface. And I will receive that as a challenge to push through discomfort and learn new skills. And I mean, if CNAs can do it, right? Like that's one of the base levels of care in a facility, then I think a lot of us can do it too. So thank you for giving us the challenge and the opportunity to grow in that.
Well, I think if I can do it, anybody can do it, because
Jess, you're tough. You're
I
tough,
call myself
okay?
the reluctant caregiver. Like, I did not sign up for this.
No, you didn't. But
Yeah,
you just have
it
such
is what it is.
tremendous strength and resilience. And like I said, you're a widow who married a widower, and you have 8 kids and blended family and special needs, and you've moved and you renovated a house and like you did all of that in a short period of time.
Yep.
You're a tough cookie for sure.
Or I just live in fight or flight. I'm not sure
Yeah.
yet.
You
We'll
do what
find
you
out.
have to do to survive.
Yeah.
You do what you have to do for sure. So tell me about the intimate relationships, even friendships for caregivers. But I'm thinking about your marriage with Ryan. How do you
Yes.
guys connect and just have a meaningful time together?
That has been a number one priority since the day we met. We realized that we were getting married with 7 children and had very little time to date. And so we committed to a weekly date night, and we're even going out tonight. And I know
Good for you.
it's just for a few hours, and we have to get Luke fed and bathed before we go out. So it's kind of a struggle. Like, Ryan will rush home and he'll get Luke fed and bathed, and then we'll meet up at a restaurant at like 6:30, and then we have like 2 hours before we have to get home and get the
Like,
rest
we're
of
going
the
to need that check ahead of time. Thank you.
yep, get the rest of the kids to bed. But we knew that the best gift we could give these 8 children was that of a intact, healthy marriage someday, to give them the legacy of mom and dad who still loved each other and enjoyed spending time with each other. I come from a broken family. Ryan comes from a broken family. So that was just a huge priority. And it takes tons of intentional planning to make it happen. It does take some money to hire some people. And we have a little bit of a perk in that we have so many children, because we can easily hire one of our teenagers for a few hours. And we often joke, like, what are we going to do when everybody's out of the house? Because our teenagers are happy to watch Luke for a few hours for money.
That's
and I think
great.
most teenagers
They're
are.
capable. Yeah.
Yeah, they're very capable.
How old
for
is Lucas?
He's 17.
17. Okay.
And then we have
So, and just what are the ages of your kids right now?
we have 19, 18, 2 17-year-olds, a 15-year-old, 2 12-year-olds, and a 6-year-old.
Okay.
So we have a few bigger kids who can definitely hold down the fort for a few hours if need be. And then, so yeah, it's always been a date night. We used to be better even about getting away for like a weekend, a couple of times a year, and just hiring a caregiver to come in. We haven't been as good about that lately. But my mother-in-law, the one I spoke about earlier, Jason's mom, she watched the documentary, and she's never watched all of the kids for a week, or Luke. That's always been sort of intimidating for everybody. And she watched the documentary, and I asked her, would you be willing to watch the kids for a week so Ryan and I could go to Mexico this fall? And she was like, yeah, I can do that. And I said, even Luke?
Good for her.
Like, yep, I can give that to you
Snaps
guys for a
Mom.
week. So we booked Mexico. We can't
Good
wait.
for you.
We're going to Mexico. And we hired another caregiver to help her out because we knew it would be a lot, but it's always been in the budget. Date night money, caregiver money to make it happen. Like I said, just being very intentional about it. And even during lockdown, we had a travel trailer in our backyard, and we would go out to the travel trailer with a bottle of wine, and we'd order a pizza.
You
and
were so smart.
We put one of the kids in charge inside, and like, bye. We're going to be out in the travel trailer for a few hours. We'll see you soon.
Rockstar status.
Yep.
That's awesome.
We knew like we had to connect, or this family was not going to make it if we didn't have that foundation together with our marriage.
Do you have any boundaries around what you're allowed to talk about when you have your 2 hours together, or is anything on the table?
Anything's
Like,
on the table.
We're not allowed to talk about the kids. It's just us. These are our 2 hours.
It's usually about the kids or the house we're building.
Yeah.
And I would say, 11 years in, we have a shared history now, whereas going back to the earlier part of the interview, when we first met, our histories were with other people. So they did come up all the time. They don't come up all the time anymore because we have created a life together.
Wow. And it's really beautiful. When Davey and I were talking, Davey Blackburn, he said that there is something about losing a spouse that actually can enable you to love deeper and more, with more awareness, because you know what you have because you lost it. How do you feel about that with Ryan?
100% true. I will say that about Jason and Ryan even. I loved Jason with all my heart, but there could have been so much more depth had I been intentional and had he been intentional. But we lived so much of our marriage in trauma too, between him and Luke, that we were just kind of holding on for dear life. But we would have come to a fork in the road where we would have had to go deep in order to create something like lasting. I don't know if I'm saying that quite the right way, but
to continue to grow in intimacy, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And with Ryan from day one, having both loved and lost, I would say I've never loved anybody like Ryan, because we've been so intentional about cultivating what we have together, and not leaving things unsaid, communicating, even with intimacy and stuff. And my next book is all about marriage, so everybody will know everything.
I can't wait. Did you title it yet? Is it still in the works?
I did title it, yes.
Do we get to hear, or is it still being revealed?
No, it's Lovin' with Grit and Grace, straight talk about romance, fun, sex, and the tough stuff too. We just landed on that a few weeks ago.
Great. So I love that.
Yes, a very, very, very vulnerable book, but I think very much needed too in this world.
Yeah, it is. I mean, if COVID has unveiled anything, it's that our relationships need to be shored up, and I love your mom and dad pod in the back with your bottle of wine for your date night. That's so smart. I love that. Okay, so we have Unseen, your caregiver documentary. Tell us again where people can find that.
Caregiverdoc.com or at thelucasproject.org.
Okay. And you are at jessplusthemess.com on social media, and they can find your excellent book, Blended with Grit and Grace, at everywhere books are sold, Amazon, all the places.
Yep. And Sunlight Burning at Midnight is on Amazon. And the next one will be out February 14, 2023.
February 14, I love that. Valentine's Day release. Everybody, this has been part 2 of my interview with Jess Ronne on the Hopecast with Rachael Flick. You can find all of her amazing resources on her website, and the Links will be in the show notes. If you would rate, review, and subscribe, you can help push this message of hope forward to more people. Everybody, I look forward to connecting with you again on the Hopecast with Rachael Flick.
You've been listening to the Hopecast with Rachael Flick. To find out more, go to rachaelflick.com. While there, you can discover more information about all of the platforms that this podcast is on. If you listen to the show on Apple Podcasts, we would appreciate if you would subscribe and leave us a review. Also, another great way to stay informed with the Hopecast is to follow Rachael on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. Just click on the social media icons at the top of the page and you'll be directed to Rachael's social media sites. While you're online, you can book Rachael for your next speaking engagement. Her inspiring message will sure to engage and touch the heart of your audience at your next conference, church event, or business function. Go to rachaelflick.com to book her today. Well, that's all the time we have for this episode. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time for another edition of the Hopecast with Rachael Flick.